Hello, I want to make a video on section 8.6. It's one of my very favorite lessons to teach, but it can be a little bit tricky. So you don't need to write anything down. I'm going to actually literally hand you all these examples. So you don't need to write, just sit back and listen. If you learn these tricks, you're going to be really good at it. Here we go. So these are examples of ones when the first term, the coefficient is not 1. So what you do is just like you did before, is you do 2 parentheses. And you ask yourself, what times what is 2x squared? So the only things that times together to give me 2x squared is 2x and x, because 2x times x is 2x squared. Okay, now you ask yourself, what times what is 5? You don't get to say that adds together to give you 7 because there's a 2 that's going to be multiplied by one of the terms. So you don't get to say that part. All you say is what times what is 5. So there's only 2 things. There's 1 and 5, and there's 5 and 1. Because now order matters. Because if one of them has to get times by 2 when you check insides and outsides, and it has to add up to 7x when you check the insides and the outsides. So you can just try them. Eventually you'll get really good at it and be able to get them quicker. But right now you would just try. So you put in 1 and 5. So insides give you 1x and outsides give you 10x. And this right here tells you you're adding them. So is 1x plus 10x really 7x? It is not. So it can't be that one. So you keep the 2x and x like you had before, and you try the other one. And you have a 5 and a 1. So insides give you 5x and outsides give you 2x. And again, it tells you you're adding, and 5x and 2x is 7x. So you got it on the second try, which is pretty good because sometimes there's lots of different tries, like if this number isn't prime. So you now do exactly like we did before. This tells us that the signs are the same, and this tells us that they are both plus. So plus and plus. So that would be your answer. Remember, you can always FOIL it back out to check to make sure that you got it right. All right, next one. So 3a squared plus 5a minus 2. Again, don't forget, first thing, check for a GCF. There is no GCF other than 1, so you just do 2 parentheses. And you say, what times what is 3a squared? And there's only one thing, so it's 3a times a. Now, what times what is 2? Well, 1 and 2, or 2 and 1. Those are the only choices because 2 is prime. So we'll try 1 and 2. So this gives me 1a, and this gives me 6a. And this sign right there tells me I'm subtracting them. And is 1a from 6a really 5a? And the answer is yes. So you got it on the first try. So again, signs are different and bigger product is plus. So who's bigger, 1a or 6a? 6a is the bigger, so it gets the plus. This gets the other one. So this sign goes right there to make it negative 1a when you times it. And this sign goes right here. So it's pretty easy when the numbers are prime. Okay, so let's do one where the numbers aren't all prime. So first one is 4x squared. So you have 2 choices. It could be 4x and x, like you're used to, or it could be 2x and 2x. Okay, so you have 2 choices of what it could be. So you kind of look at it and you try to decide what you should do. Now, there's a great rule, and it says that if the middle term is odd, pairs of evens are impossible. Because remember, an even plus an even is even, and an even minus an even is also even. But this is even. So it says just try evens first if there are any. So 2 and 2 are both even. So I'm going to try those first. So I do 2x and 2x. Now, if this had been a 7, it can't be 2 and 2, because if the middle term is odd, pairs of evens are impossible. So we knew it had to be excuse me. We knew we wanted to try the 2x and 2x first because the middle's even. So we're going to try evens first, if there are any. Now, these two are the same. So order doesn't matter now. What times what is 5? Well, 1 and 5 and 5 and 1, but order doesn't matter because they're both 2x's. So we check it. This gives us 1 times 2x is 2x. 2x times 5 is 10x. And this tells me I'm subtracting them. Is 2x from 10x really 8x? Yes. So we know we got it in the first try. So we're going to say, okay, the signs are different and the bigger product is plus. So who's bigger, 2x or 10x? 10x. So it gets that sign. And since the signs are different, this one gets that sign. So this sign goes right there to give me a negative 2x. And this sign goes right here to give me a positive 10x. So the first rule that is set in stone is if middle term is odd, you can't have a pair of evens. If middle term's even, try evens first if there are any. Okay, so one like this has a lot of possibilities. So I'm going to show you some tricks of ways to help yourself. All right, so 6x squared. There's two possible things. It could be 6x and x, or it could be 3x and 2x. Okay, so middle term is odd, so you can't have a pair of evens. Well, that's a 6 and a 1. That's not a pair of evens. And that's a 3 and a 2. That's not a pair of evens. So that rule doesn't help us in this part. But here's another rule. If the numbers are kind of close together, then try close together pairs first. So 17 is pretty close to 6 and 12. It's not like 57 or something. Because if I times something by 6, it's going to go up really fast. So I'm going to try the 3x and 2x first. Because these are kind of close together, I'm going to try the 3 and the 2 because they're closer together. All right, now 12. 12 was a really hard one because there's lots of things that give me 12, and order matters. So let's go through all the things that could give me 12. So it could be 1 and 12, 12 and 1, 2 and 6, 6 and 2, 3 and 4, or 4 and 3. Okay, so that means there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 possibilities of what could go there. The next rule is amazing. The next rule says you can't have a common factor in your binomial as long as you check for a GCF first. So always make sure you didn't have a GCF, which was 6, 17, and 12. I did not have a GCF. Now, the middle term is odd. Let's remember that. Middle term is odd. So pairs of evens are impossible. So are any of those pairs, both of the numbers even? Yes. 2 and 6 and 6 and 2. So I don't even have to try those because the middle term is odd. So pairs of evens are impossible. And that works on that side and on that side. All right, now the next thing, what I said that was the greatest rule ever, says you can't have a common factor in your binomial. So what that means is if this is a 3, then 3, 6, 9, 12, all those numbers can't be there. And if this is a 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, all those numbers can't be there. So 1 and 12. Well, 1 could go there, but 12 can't go there because 2 goes into 12. So not possible. So 12 and 1. Well, 12 can't go there because it would have a GCF of 3. So that's impossible. So we don't even have to try that one either. All right, 3 and 4. Can 3 go there? No, because they're both 3s. So knowing those rules, we have cut it down to one try. So say it one more time. If middle term's odd, pairs of evens are impossible. And then once you commit to what you're going to put here, as long as you check for a GCF, you can't have a common factor in your binomial. So we're going to try 4 and 3. So a 4 can go there and a 3 can go there. So now we check insides and outsides to see if it adds up to 17. So this gives me 8x, and this gives me 9x, and they add up to 17. So we got it in the first try, even though there were 2 times 6, there were 12 possibilities. But if you just learn those 2 little rules, then you can get it down sometimes to even only 1 possibility. So it worked. Signs are the same, and they're both plus. Now, when I was in school, my teacher didn't teach me any of these tricks, and I just sat there and tried them over and over and over and over. And sometimes it would take me 10 times to get it. She made me show all my work, show every try, and I hated it. But if you just learn those 2 rules, your life is easier. Okay. And again, you don't have to write any of these down. I'm going to hand them to you. All right. So 4x squared minus 7x minus 2. All right. 4x squared. Our possibilities are 4x and x and 2x and 2x. All right. So I look to the middle for a hint. The middle is odd. So pairs of evens are impossible. So are either of those pairs of evens? Yeah, 2 and 2 are both even. So we don't even have to try that because it's impossible for that to be the answer. So we know it is 4x and x. Okay, now order matters because these are different. So what times what is 2? 1 and 2 and 2 and 1. All right, so it's got to be one or the other. That's the only choices. Remember, I can't put something that has a common factor in the binomial as long as I check for a GCF first. So I cannot put 2 right here because 2 and 4 both have a GCF of 2. So that one is impossible because 2 can't go with 4. So again, even though there were 4 possibilities, I got it down to 1 by knowing those 2 rules. So 1 and 2. Now, if this doesn't work, we know it's prime. So this is a 1x, this is an 8x, and this tells me I'm subtracting the 2 numbers. And is 1 from 8, 7? Yes. So we got it in the first try. Signs are different, and bigger product is negative. So who's bigger, 1 or 8? 8. So this gets the plus, this gets the minus, because 1x and negative 8x is negative 7x. So this one gets the plus, and this one gets the minus. And again, we got it in 1 try, instead of just sit there doing 4 different tries and see if you can get it. All right, next one. And again, I'm going to hand you every one of these examples so you don't have to do anything. Okay, so at first you might start saying 6m and m or 3m and 2m. But you don't want to do that because what's the first step to factoring? Yes, look for a GCF. And there is a GCF because I'll tell you, these rules do not apply if you don't take out a GCF first. So you have to take out the GCF first. So look at that. What is the GCF? So the GCF is 2. So we take out a 2. And we get 3m squared minus 7m minus 6. So we took out the GCF. So we keep the 2 and we do our 2 parentheses. Now, what times what is 3m squared? Well, there's only one thing. So we know it's 3m and m. Right? What times what is 6? 1 and 6, 6 and 1, 2 and 3, and 3 and 2. All right, middle terms, odd, pairs of evens, impossible. None of them are pairs of evens, doesn't help. Okay, but there's a 3 here. So anything that's divisible by 3 in the first number is impossible. So it can't be 6 and 1 because 6 can't go there because there'd be a GCF of 3. And it can't be 3 and 2 because if you put a 3 there, there's a GCF of 3. So we're down to 2 choices. So worst case scenario, you try one, it doesn't work. You try the other one, it does work. But remember, if these numbers are pretty close together, try close together ones first. It might not be it, but it probably is it. So 3, 7, and 6 are really close together. So I'm going to try the 2 and the 3 first. And if it doesn't work, then I know it's the 1 and the 6. And if that doesn't work, I know the answer was right there. We just had stopped right there because it's not factorable anymore. So let's see. This gives me 2m. This gives me 9m. And I am subtracting. Is 2 from 9 really 7? Yes. So we got it in the first try. Signs are different. And the bigger product is negative. So who's bigger, 2 or 9? 9's bigger, so it gets that sign. So that's negative, that's positive. So this gets a plus and this gets a minus. Now, if you were going to check this, you would FOIL these out and then distribute the 2 back in to see if you got that. And you would. Now, worst case scenario, if you forget these tricks, you just try it till you get it, like I used to have to do in the 8th grade. So, but if you just remember, middle term's odd, pairs of evens are impossible. As long as you check for a GCF first, you can't have a common factor in your binomial. And if numbers are close together, try the closer together ones first. All right, so let's do one that has 2 letters. All right, so is there a GCF? Oh, there is. So let's go ahead and take out the 2. So 3x squared minus 7xy plus 4y squared. All right, so keep the 2 and do your 2 parentheses. All right, what times what is 3x squared? 3x and x. All right. Oh, I've got a y squared. So let's just go ahead and put that y in there because y times y is y squared. So now all we have to do is deal with a number. So the number is 4. And these are different, so order matters. So it's either 1 and 4, 4 and 1, or 2 and 2. Because those are the only things that times together to give me 4. So I look to the middle term for a hint. The middle term is odd. So pairs of evens are impossible. So I don't even have to try 2 and 2. So it's either 1 and 4 or 4 and 1. Now, this is a 3, so any first term that's divisible by 3 is impossible, but none of those are. So worst case scenario, you try this one, it doesn't work, you try that one. If it works, great, you got it on the first try. So let's see. So I'm going to try 1 and 4. You don't have to put the 1, obviously, because it's just y. All right, this gives me 1xy. This gives me 12xy. So did that work? We are adding. Is 1 plus 12 really 7? Nope. So we're going to make this the 4 and make this the 1. Okay, so we're going to say this is 4xy and this is 3xy. And we're adding. Is 4xy and 3xy 7xy? Yes. So it did take us 2 tries, but we got it on the second try. So let's see. Signs are the same and they're both minus. And that 1 doesn't need to be there. That would be your answer. All right, so let's do a hard one. So if you want to try a hard one, pause the video and try it. Give you a second to pause. And then once you've done it, I'm going to go ahead and talk you through it. Okay, so hopefully welcome back and hopefully you got it, but let's try. All right, we look for a GCF. There isn't a GCF. So 14n squared. There are two choices. It could be 14n and n, or it could be 7n and 2n. I look to the middle for a hint. It's odd. Pairs of evens are impossible. Well, 14 and 1 and 7 and 2, neither one of them are pairs of evens. So we look to see, are these numbers close together? They're very close together. So we're going to try the 7n and 2n first. All right, 12. 12 is 1 and 12, 12 and 1, 2 and 6, 6 and 2, 3 and 4, and 4 and 3. Middle is odd. Pairs of evens are impossible. So 2 and 6 and 6 and 2 are impossible. Okay, nothing divisible by 7 can be the first number, and nothing divisible by 2 can be the second number. So are any of the second numbers divisible by 2? Yes, this one and this one. So we got two choices. We got a 12 and a 1, and we got a 4 and a 3. Remember, the numbers are close together. Try the closer together ones first. Because if you times something by 12, isn't it going to get really big really fast? And I only need a 13. So I'm going to try the 4 and the 3. So I put a 4 here and I put a 3 here. This tells me I'm subtracting them to try to get 13. So this gives me 8n, and this gives me 21n. And is 8 from 21 really 13? Yes. So we got it in the first try, even though there were 12 possibilities. Signs are different, and the bigger product is positive. So who's bigger, 8n and 21n? 21n's bigger. So this gets the plus, and this gets the minus. Now I want to say something to you. A long time ago, y'all kept saying to me, why can't you just put it the sign with the bigger number? And I kept saying it's the bigger product, and later it will matter. Here's where it matters. Isn't 4 bigger than 3? But 4 is only getting times by 2, where 3 is getting times by 7. So this is the bigger product, even though 4 is bigger than 3. So this gives me 8n, this gives me 21n. So the 21n has to get that sign. So this gets a minus, this gets a plus, and we got it in the first try. Now, again, if you forget any of these tricks, worst case scenario is you just sit there and try them. Okay? There are other ways to do this. There's splitting the middle term. There's some slide method. There's the California method. There's lots of different ways to do this. I like this because worst case, you just sit there and try till you get it. But if you'll just remember the rules, you can do it really, really fast. All right, well, I hope that helps. See you.